I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be successful seduction is a byproduct of being your best self. I've got an email here from a viewer, and he says, "Hey Coach, I watched your videos and I'm reading your book for a second time. Thanks for all that you're doing. It's really a huge help. So here's my question. I'm 39, in good shape, good looking, and I've never had a problem getting women. The problem is they have never been the kind of woman I really want to be with." Well, what that tells me is you're probably doing the kinds of things that I used to do and what most men tend to do who are unsuccessful with the kind of women that they really want. Is that you get around a girl you really like, instead of treating them just like every other girl that you encounter and the average women that you've been dating in the past, you act differently around them because you start acting using approval-seeking behavior, and instead of just being cool and hanging out and chatting and getting to know them by simply asking questions, you give off a different vibe, and the vibe that you give off is one that you're not comfortable with yourself. Because deep down, you're afraid that they're going to reject you because you really like the girl. So it's like you start to be extra nice when you're with them. It's like you go from having an indifferent attitude, which works with average women because you really could care less if you hook up with them. And you got to have that same kind of indifferent attitude with all women that you like. It doesn't mean you're a cold asshole to them. What it does mean is that you've got to be the same whenever you're chatting with a girl. In other words, you want to act as if you meet and talk to beautiful women all the time. And so if you're struggling right now to talk to beautiful women, then interact with the ugly women that you don't care about and work up to the point where you start to eventually talk to better and better looking women. And so he says, so 3 years ago, I fucked a chick who I wanted to kick out of bed when we were done, and after trying to date her for a couple of weeks, I dumped her. I just wasn't into her, and after that, I was kind of disgusted with that whole pattern, and I lost my will to have sex and be in a relationship with a woman who I really wasn't into. Well, again, that just further confirms that you're acting different around the women that you really like, and that is your problem, because they can sense that something is not natural within you, something is not flowing, you're holding something back. And women want to feel safe and comfortable, and so what ends up happening is, I'm sure you're a good guy and everything, but you end up giving off a vibe, it's a creepy type of vibe. And so since you don't feel comfortable being around them, you make them feel uncomfortable being around you, and therefore they want to get away from you as quick as possible. In other words, you're just not natural. You don't act natural around them. And you have to get to a place where you act the same way around the ugly girls, the married women, the old ladies, or the really hot women. You got to treat them all the same, because at the end of the day, girls just want to be, they don't want to be put on a pedestal. They want to be treated like everyone else. In essence, what happens is you get around a girl you really like and you start to treat them like a celebrity. You start to put them on a pedestal. That's what I used to do, and you never get anywhere with that kind of approach, because in essence, what you start communicating with your energy and your words and the tone of your voice is, I'm not worthy to be with you. It's like you start apologizing for being you and the things that you say. He says, well, guess what? It turns out that I'm kind of crappy with women because since I made that choice, I haven't been laid. It pretty much sucks, dude. I've had my chances, mind you, but those women were just as lame as the others. The one chick I have met who gets me going put me squarely in the friend zone. Well, you took the nice guy approach, because that's what tends to happen. He says she either didn't like me from the start, which is definitely possible, or I just screwed up from the start. And he says most definitely in parentheses. So you already know what you're doing, because obviously you read my book, you're on the second time, like you said. So you're seeing the patterns, and so what's happening is you're not maintaining your emotional self-control when you're interacting with women. And that's contributing to your getting rejected by the girls you really like. He says, so should I go back to screwing women I don't care about to increase circulation? It would definitely help, because when you have women, it puts you in a non-hungry state. But if you're not sleeping with anybody, you're kind of going to be in a scarcity mindset. And then it's like you get around a girl that you really like, and you act like a lion that hasn't chowed down on a zebra in a few weeks, and he's really hungry, and you come off as needy and insecure and unsure of yourself. He says, or should I continue to improve and hold out for a 9 or better? You don't have to have sex with every one of these girls, but you can fool around with them. And as I became more successful in my journey that I was going through, and I started finally getting to the point where I was able to date women that I was really into, I would get more than just 2 or 3 dates with them. What happened was I started losing less and less interest and had less of a desire to date the average woman, because I was finally getting to go out with the kinds of women that I wanted. And the other thing, the flip side of that coin, was some of these really beautiful, super hot women. Like one of the girls I dated, she posed for Playboy. She's fucking gorgeous. One of the most physically perfect women you could ever imagine dating. But she was a fucking mess. And I ended up dumping her and blowing her off. And that was, I mean, at the time, that was a new experience for me, because I had never experienced that. I wrote about a woman I dated who was a Miss Florida. A fucking beauty queen. This girl was amazing. She could sing. She could dance. She was incredibly successful. But she was like, she always had this permagrin on, and she was like, you know, she was a TV personality. And so she was always, you know, kind of like, you ever see the Joker, like the Jack Nicholson one, the Batman, where he did? He's just always got that permagrin smile on that's not really authentic. It's kind of phony. And I just couldn't fucking stand that, because she just wasn't real. So she couldn't be comfortable being herself unless it took me about 45 minutes when we would go out on our dates to get her to loosen up and be this playful, fun girl, because she had been taught like this. Because she came from a wealthy, successful family, she was taught that this was the prim and proper way to act. And it just fucking disgusted me. Because I'm just an average, regular guy. Obviously, I say fuck and shit and damn. And I talk like most people talk. I'm not a politically correct person. And shit just grates on my nerves when somebody can't be themselves around me. And so I ended up not dating her anymore, because I wasn't into that shit. I wanted a girl that was real, that would tell it like it is, and she'd call me out on my bullshit. Because, you know, as I grew and I became stronger, I didn't want a weak woman. Even though she was really hot, I wanted a girl who also had her shit together, who felt she had value. Because a woman who was intimidated by me, and some of the women I wrote about in my book were like that. As much fun as I had with them, deep down they felt insecure that eventually I was going to fall out of love with them. And eventually I did, because what they feared, they acted and did things that eventually turned me off to the point where I just simply didn't want to date them anymore. Now, some other things that I want to talk about here that I think are important to bring up is that part of what I see here is that what makes it really easy to meet women is, think about a time in your life where, I know you've had times in your life you've been walking around and you just felt really great about yourself. And it seems like wherever you went, everybody was staring at you, men and women, and especially beautiful women. But you haven't been able to duplicate that on a consistent basis. And it is a direct reflection of how happy you and content and fulfilled you feel in your own life. And so if you're working a job that you hate, or your finances really suck right now, or you're going through a really difficult time, or you need to lose 20 pounds, you need to get your ass back in the gym and get in shape, and so you don't really feel that great about yourself. I mean, think about this. If you're around average, regular women or beautiful women and you're just not happy, but you want to meet somebody, and what's really going on at a subtle, deep, subconscious level is that, in a way, you're hoping that if you meet the right girl or the right person for you, that they're going to somehow complete you in a way, that they're going to somehow make you happy. And in essence, what's really going on is you're hoping or believing that someone or something outside of yourself is going to make you happy. And when you meet somebody that knocks your socks off and you're able to successfully date them, they will make you happy for a while, but long term, after the infatuation wears off, 6 months, a year, however long it takes, because it eventually wears off and you get to a normal level where you're no longer just bowled over by their beauty and their sex appeal, because you've been with them for so long and you know what it's like, and you no longer fear losing that person. What you realize is that your life still sucks. and you're still not happy within yourself. And I say this in my book, and I say this all the time. It's like you have to become the person that you want to attract. Being successful with women, being able to successfully seduce the kind of women that you really want, really is a direct reflection of how you feel about yourself internally. And so if your life sucks right now, if you can't immediately change the circumstances of your life, if you're not working the kind of job that you really want, or you need to lose 30 or 40 pounds, whatever it happens to be, or get back in shape, that's not an overnight thing. That's not something you can click your fingers and boom, 30 pounds magically drop off and you get your washboard abs back. That's something that takes months and months and months. Or maybe you're changing careers, or you've decided to go back to college. You have to get to a place where you accept your life conditions, you accept your life circumstances, and you have peace with it. Because if you're unhappy with where you're at and you're not accepting it, you're going to suffer internally. And women can pick up on that vibe. Think about this. If you meet a chick that's a fucking supermodel and she's a multimillionaire, or she's a CEO of her own business and she's really beautiful, she's really happy, she's working out, she's taking great care of her body, she's eating really healthy foods, she has a very active social life, she has lots of friends and family, her life is full of people and friends that she loves hanging out with. She's really excited. And then she comes along and she meets you, and you think internally you feel like your life sucks. She's going to pick up on that vibe that you're just not as happy internally as she is. And so when she dates you, in essence, it's like you're going to be like an energy vampire to her. In essence, you need her in a way to make you happy. And so instead of just being around a complete equal or a complete person, when she gets around you, she feels like you're kind of sucking the life out of her, or that you're totally dependent upon her for your happiness. And she's going to pick up on that vibe, and she's going to reject you because she wants to meet somebody that's on the same level energetically. And that's why I spend so much of my work not just teaching seduction skills or pickup lines to use or how to make a date on the spot, because those things are only about 5 to 10% of what you really need to know. That's why I spend so much time on personal growth, self-help, focusing on your career, focusing on your business, focusing on the things that are important, being healthy. Because if you physically feel like shit because you're not working out and you're not eating good kinds of foods, or you haven't detoxed your body, you're going to have chemicals and toxins from the preservatives and the food that you eat that are going to be stored in your tissues, and it literally is going to keep you in a fog, and you're just simply not going to feel well, even if you might have a lot of great things going on in your life. It's all about being a well-rounded person. And so if you have contentment and peace in your health and your body, if you have contentment and peace in your financial life, if you have contentment and peace in your friends and your family and your peer group, if you have contentment in your career or your business, you're going to feel a lot better. You're going to be a well-rounded, well-balanced person. And that's why I stress so much on why that is so important. Because the happier you are, the more content you are, the more unattached and, or I should say detached and indifferent attitude that you have towards life. When you meet a chick that just fucking knocks your socks off, you'll like her, you'll want her, but you're not going to totally come unglued and act like Gumby when you're around her. You're going to act like you're an equal. You're going to act as if you deserve to be there with her. And not only that, you're going to have the attitude of, what are you all about? You're going to want this woman to earn your love and respect instead of just giving it to her because you think she's hot, or you think she's beautiful, or you think she's the answer to what it is that you want. So like I said, being successful with women is a direct reflection of how successful you feel as a man in your own life. And I want to leave you with a quote by Bill Ryan. He says, if you dare to believe things are possible, then anything is possible. So if you want my help right away, the quickest way to get my help is to book a paid phone coaching session. You can do that by going to my website, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions. And I will talk to you soon.